Friday, the 9th of December 2022 is the date today as we count down to the close of 2022, looking forward to ending this year on a strong note. Camnet TV brings you nothing but the best of what is happening around, and this is a place where you should be every morning. Keep watching Camnet TV for those contributions, submissions, and a lot of things that we talk about on this set. I always emphasize when I come on the program to say some of the solutions to what we're currently going through lies in you, our viewer, and by calling and making those submissions and contributions, you might never know policymakers are listening, and your submission might be just what Zambia needs to be transformed. I am your host this morning, Prudence Chota, and of course, I am not alone on set. I am joined by my colleague, who's of course going to greet you and introduce herself. Over to you, my colleague.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Amazing Katamanda, and it's always good to be on TV screens, just like my colleague has said. Please, let's get interactive and submit our concerns, because you never know who's watching. You never know that the people that are making these policies are watching. So feel free to come through using the numbers that are on your TV screens, and don't forget to also leave your comments on our Facebook page, because we are streaming live right there on our Facebook page.
Of course, Katamanda, today's topic of discussion: why has Zambia continued having labor disputes in places of work? We have seen for quite some time, almost every week, we hear issues of labor dispute. Yesterday, I was watching one of our local TV stations, and there was a labor dispute at Mulungushi in Livingstone where workers were protesting. And we've also seen this week some workers from ZCCMIH, that is Musha Milling, protesting over non-payment of their salaries, and others. So like we've continued to see labor disputes almost every day. So why is it that we've continued seeing this despite we have a Ministry of Labor that is of course supposed to represent the people, which is of course even one point we did host the Labor Commissioner, Mr. Givens Muntangwa, on set where he explained some of the things, but we've continued to see that. So this is a topic of discussion this morning, and of course you, the viewer out there who's watching us in the comfort of your home or different gadgets, or maybe you're traveling and you're watching this program live on our Facebook page, we appreciate your company. And even for those who are watching us, maybe you're in the office and you've tuned into Camnet TV, we appreciate your company. But today's topic of discussion, of course, is what is on screen. Why has the country continued to have labor disputes at places of work? So we are going to ask you to call and make those submissions and contributions. What has been your experience so far at your place of work? Maybe let us know. And you might never know, if you're having disputes at your place of work, we might surprise you actually. We might visit you as Camnet TV and just cover what is happening around. This is a platform where we give you an opportunity to air your grievances, to air your contributions, your submissions, the solutions that you have to a lot of things that are happening. And then we are going to go into our morning boost before we dig deeper into this topic. Katamanda, I don't know if you have exercised this morning, or maybe you are that person who exercises before going to bed.
I exercise before going to bed, but I will join as the instructor will be teaching us. So let's just get to see, and then we exercise together.
All right.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Cholwe from Cho's Fitness Gym. We're a fully functional gym located along Twin Palm Road in Kablonga, right by Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia. So we have various classes that happen from Monday to Friday. We have aerobics, we have boot camp, we have step aerobics, we have spinning, we have kettlebell classes. They happen from 18 to 19 hours every day, and we are open from 06 until 20 hours. That's Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays 6 to 12, and then Sundays we are closed, and most public holidays we are open 6 to 12. So you're welcome to visit and come and train with us. And for now, I'll show you certain exercises you could do from. Thank you. Hi ladies and gentlemen, Cholwe again here. I'm going to show you a few exercises and do to get you fit, to get the blood pumping. So with every set of exercises, you need to start first with stretch, which is very, so we'll do to and you press your hands together and touch the floor, and you can hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you can go side to side, you twist. That's 1. We're gonna go for 10, 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, that's 9, and 10. All right, then you're gonna place your hands like this from the back, hands behind, and then you're gonna stretch that back and hold it for 10 seconds. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you want to stretch, hands behind and stretch. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we can go for 10 here. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then behind, that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you can stretch your feet. Just hold it for 10 seconds. If balancing is hard, you can always hold somewhere. So hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then the other side, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. So the first exercise we'll do 1 minute. This one is good for basic jumping on the up and back with the hands. We'll go for 1 minute and make sure your hands touch. So modified version, if you can't jump, you can always go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to show you the full jump in just a minute. It's 6, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay, that is 1 minute jacks, approximately 55. So the next one, push-ups. We'll do the modified push-ups. So we'll go for 1 minute of push-ups as well. So with the modified version, you want to place your knees in this position, move to the front. Here we go. All right, and you go down. So the key is for your elbows to point out. That's 2. This is the modified version. Like that. If you can't see from this angle, I'm gonna turn. Like that, modified. If that's too hard, place your feet on the ground and go like that. So you repeat the push-ups for 1 minute. And now I go into the full push-up. Go down, stretch. Stretch. I like to breathe when I go up. Others, you can go as fast as you can.
there you have it. That was the morning boost this morning. I hope you have exercised along with us. If you cannot do it this morning, we always give you an opportunity to do it in the night. Actually, this program is being recorded live on our Facebook page, and this particular segment will equally be live, will equally be there, pardon me, when you go to watch it in the evening. So if you can't exercise along with us in the morning, in the evening you can just take a particular time, go to this clip, go to this particular segment and exercise with us. We care about your health. That's why we bring you the morning boost, to ensure that you are fit. They say, Katamanda, a healthy nation relies on a healthy people.
Exactly. So we need to be healthy. And still talking about healthy, we get to Health Corner and see what the doctors have for us this morning.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Dr. Musole Chipoya, an epidemiologist at the Zambia National Public Health Institute, and I'm a member of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. We continue on our series on discussing what is poliomyelitis. Today, we'll be looking at the current polio response in the country. But before we get into it, we'll just have a brief recap on what we have discussed so far on the series. So we have had a discussion on what exactly is poliomyelitis. So this is a highly infectious disease which can be transmitted from one person to another. And how does it enter our body? Through eating contaminated foods, contaminated water, and through poor hygiene practices. So how does it affect one's body when one is infected with poliomyelitis? So when the polio virus enters the body, it causes different symptoms in different people. Others will be asymptomatic, which is the majority, 70%. Then we'll have the 30% with very mild symptoms or transient, which are also very transient. These are usually flu-like symptoms, body ache, fever, headache, flu-like, which is upper respiratory tract infections. It can be a sore throat. We'll have GI infections as well as and nausea, which can also present in those patients. The mainstay for polio is actually that we want to prevent this infection through taking in of the vaccines. So we need to ensure that our children are well protected with all the vaccines that they're supposed to be given, which are 4 oral vaccines as well as 1 injectable vaccine, to prevent and to fully protect against the polio virus. In addition to that, we discussed how we can make a diagnosis of polio when we suspect that we have a case who is presenting with sudden onset of weakness in the limb, which is the 1% of cases that will present with paralysis. So when we have a child or an adult who we are suspecting infected with the polio virus, we actually have to collect stool specimen from that case, and these stool specimen are then referred to the UTH virology lab, where they are investigated and the diagnosis is then made. And remember, for these, we're looking at cases who are presenting with paralysis, sudden onset of paralysis, which has just occurred in a child. So this will be anywhere between 3 to 4 days from onset to the full end of paralysis, to the full onset of full setting in of paralysis in that particular patient or case. In addition to that, we talked about the 2 cases of polio that we had as a country in 2019, which are the last cases that we had in this country. So currently we will get into discussion on what exactly is the response in Zambia and why we are responding to the polio virus or polio outbreak, which is in another country. So because of how highly transmissible this virus is, as well as the fact that 70% of those that are infected with this virus will not present with any symptoms, it causes a very high risk to the community at large. So we need to ensure that we have very good vaccination coverage of our children, and that our children are well protected. In addition to that, we also need to ensure that we have enhanced surveillance for polio cases in the country, meaning all cases that present with sudden onset of weakness in the limb need to be investigated for poliomyelitis. So whatever cause it may be, but as long as there's sudden onset of weakness in a limb, let us also think about poliovirus and investigating to rule out or to make sure that it actually is not a poliovirus that has infected this particular patient or this particular child. So that is how we are responding. So as a country, because of our neighboring country, Malawi, having had recorded a case of polio, we are conducting vaccination activity. So we will have 4 rounds of vaccinations in the country. The first round was in March, on the 21st of March. It was a 4-day campaign and it happened in 3 provinces. These 3 provinces were Muchinga, Eastern Province, and Lusaka Province. And these provinces were picked because of the close proximity to Malawi, as well as due to the fact that Lusaka is a high-risk zone, because obviously a lot of people travel to Lusaka for different activities, trade, as well as just to visit. So those were the 3 provinces that were selected for the first round. We've had our second round, which has just ended. It just ended on the 28th of April. It started on the 26th of April to the 28th of April. This round was also a door-to-door campaign, as well as some sites within the clinics and the hospitals where the vaccination was being provided to all children who are under 5 years of age. We will continue with this campaign with a 3rd and 4th round. The 3rd and 4th round will also be a door-to-door campaign in all 10 provinces of the country. So please, as health workers, come to your homes, mothers, guardians, let us ensure that we get our children vaccinated. And if at all your child was not visited or your home was not visited for this vaccination campaign, please let's reach out to the nearest health facility and ensure that we get our under 5 children vaccinated and fully protected against the polio virus, which we know that is causes lifelong disability, causes a lifelong paralysis in that 1% that actually gets infected with this virus. So thank you very much for joining us again. My name is Dr. Musole Chipoya, epidemiologist at the Zambia National Public Health Institute and a member of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. Keep watching Camnet TV. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
There you have it. That was our health corner this morning. I hope we have learned 1 or 2 things from what the doctor was discussing with regards to the illness. We are having a lot of cases, Katamanda, of people suddenly dying without even knowing that you had a health complication. That's why it's always important to visit the health facility.
Yeah,
even when
you have a full body check-up.
Even if you don't feel anything wrong with your body, it's just very important for you to ensure that exercise in order for you to keep health. Because you might never know. We've seen a lot of incidents has been reported of someone who was just okay and then they suddenly die.
Yeah, I think we just need to take our health very serious. We should always make it a habit to go for a checkup. Whether you're not feeling well, you're feeling well, go to the doctors. And I don't know why in Africa we don't have our own doctors. Our friends do have our own doctors, and they do have either weekly or monthly checkups. But here in Africa, it's like, okay, we self-medicate as well. Someone will be sick and then they don't pay attention to their health, and when they just have a headache or they have stomach pains, they'll just go to the drugstore instead of going to see the doctor. So let's make it a habit to visit our doctors and see if we are fully fit or there's something that we need to start doing about our bodies besides exercising.
Of course. Then we have a sad story that is trending around, where a 24-year-old killed her husband in Kafiwe district and later engaged a taxi driver to dispose of his body. Of course, the act was not done by her alone. She connived with her brother in killing the husband. And when they hired a taxi driver, he told them to say, for me to have this body fit in my car, you need to cut off some of its body parts, of which they went ahead and chopped off the man's legs for the body to fit in a dish and being put in the car. And then later it was dumped few kilometers away. Why are we having a lot of gender-based violence cases of such nature happening? A long time ago, it was rare that you would actually see a woman attack a man. Or maybe it was because we never used to just hear people report about these issues, and now we are hearing them now. But an incidences have continued being reported of where women are now killing their husband, the woman has killed her husband. And in this particular incidents, the man and the woman, and of course the late husband, they are not even Zambians.
It's really sad. And the taxi driver, what he would have done was to go and report to the police and like contributing or telling them what to do, like cut off his legs so that he can fit into my car. So this brings me a lot. Okay, in my mind I'm just thinking, so how many things has he done? Because for you to see a dead body and then you're telling them, if you want this body to fit into my car, then cut off my body. Are we really safe with these taxi drivers? Because those are the questions that I'm having now. Are we safe? Are we safe? Because if you see something of this nature, the first thing you do is you call the authorities and like saying, okay, let's just cut off his body and then we just go and dump it somewhere, and then you come act as though nothing happened.
Maybe something interesting we should ask this morning, just maybe to follow up, or maybe to ask the authorities, how much was the taxi driver paid? Is it maybe because he was tempted to do that because they offered him a big chunk, or maybe it was just something little, because it's not worth it to dispose of someone's body over 100 kwacha, 200, 500.
Maybe they paid
the
him
taxi
more.
driver was paid quite a good amount of money for him to hide the body of the man. But of course, there is a story that is trending, in case you're just tuning into Camnet TV, where a 24-year-old Rwandanese killed her husband, who's 30-year-old. They acted together with the brother and they kept the body for quite some time in the house. This incident happened on 5th December. And of course, that is about 4 days ago. Yes, 5th December. And of course, they did keep the body in the house for some time without knowing what to do with it. They involved a taxi driver to help them dispose of the body, of which it did suggest that they should cut off some of its body part and he will dispose it of which the taxi driver did. So for those who are watching us, what is your take on this particular story? Why have we continued seeing incidences of gender-based violence, more especially coming from the women? Why is it that the women have now risen to this gruesome sin? And of course, it's really sad.
It's really sad.
Incidences of women. Just was it last week or this week? We did see another incident where a woman stabbed her husband to death. And just a few days before we know it, in the same incidents, another woman there kills her husband and of course connives with a brother and someone else to dispose of his body in the bush. And of course, it was discovered yesterday by the police. The body has been, taken to Mazabuka General Hospital, where they are waiting for post-mortem to determine what was the cause of death or how was he killed in this incident. That's what post-mortem most of the time does. So for those watching us in the comfort of your home, you can make your contribution and submission to this particular story. Why have we continued to see women now rising to gender-based violence? And in most incidents, it is ending in a sad scenario.
I just feel when people are no longer compatible, they no longer, you know, can't stay in one place without communicating properly. I think it's best that people should just walk away from this marriage and like staying for the sake of society, for the sake of church. If you are not in good terms, it's best you separate, because we don't know how bad the situation was, because they are saying it is a suspected marital issue, but what issue would have led to someone killing her husband, and not only killing, but they also, you know, take the body far where they just went and dumped the body? What is it that they were arguing about? I would love to know all those things. And just to give a word of advice to people, I know I'm not yet married, but I just feel like if you are not coming to agreement in terms of certain things, it's best you just, you know, part ways, go on separation for some time. If you need to divorce, I don't know. And like just staying together where you keep fighting each other, because it's obvious maybe there were issues that were piling up that led to this woman, you know, reacting the way she reacted.
The anger, it's like she kept being, she was just waiting for the right time to strike. And when that right time, but you know what is the saddest part, Katamanda, is the fact that most of the time when such incidences happen, the ones who suffer the most are the children. So they've not just lost a father, they'll equally lose a mother, because now the mother
has to go to jail.
So the question is, who will take care of those children that have been left around? Let's get to hear what this particular caller has to say this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, good morning, thank you.
You're speaking to Nyanga from Kapiriposhi.
It's good to know Kapiriposhi this morning is tuned in to Camnet TV. Please go ahead with your contribution or your submission.
Indeed. To begin with, what really touched me is the very first topic you raised concerning the labor issues in the country. You know, the idea of having the labor commission in the country is a very good idea. Equally, the labor ministry is a very good idea. But we must not deny for the fact that the labor ministry is more or less like a white elephant in the country. And this is the reason why labor issues do not end in our country. We face issues every day, issues after issues. Why? Because the labor ministry as well as the labor commission are a white elephant. What is supposed to happen is that the labor ministry is supposed to be given some laws that guide them and are stiff in such a way that any person who breaches those laws is there to face the consequences, like the tough consequences. But if you look at the situation right now, especially to do with the private sector, because I've never been involved in government, my whole life up to now spent it with the private sector. And usually what happens with the private sector is that they know that even if they breach anything that is pronounced, you know, it ends at pronouncement. After pronouncement, what consequences are there for anybody that breaches those laws? They take advantage of the situation. You know, I found a conversation some time back where one of the people from the private sector were saying, telling Zambia, a brother to say, you know, us, we are ready to do what the government tells us. If the government is not pushing us to do what we have to do, who are we? So it is all about making it, you know, very, very effective. If we pronounce of labor laws, we talk about the labor commission, the labor ministry, when it is not being effective, then it is as good as we are having it while it's not working. Imagine if I was to ask you, just around our country, how many districts will you find the labor commission or the offices of the labor commission where someone will even point to say, this is an office that I'm supposed to go to if I'm agreed with anything to do with it, my work or my job. But if we are having such a situation, you will find that every district has got it. Maybe some private sector that is operating in that particular district, but there's no labor office. And how do you think that is going to be effective? So what our government needs to do is to make the laws very, very stiff. If anybody breaches them, is able to face serious consequences. If possible, just like if you ever for example, you find that somebody is selling things that are underweight, standards, or by some advanced position, they find that the things you are selling are not of good standard. Then they pull up your company. That is how it's supposed to be in a labor. Our drivers are the reason why they protest day and night. It's because some rules they are very weak. Whatever these companies do, driver, they would even threaten them to say, you just lose your job, you have done. It's because of that situation. So please, the government needs to make these rules or laws very stiff, and they have to be serious. We need to see the Labour Minister's Commission to be effective. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that submission and contribution. Of course, in case you're wondering, today's topic of discussion is why has Zambia continued having labor disputes at places of work? This is what we are discussing this morning. And our caller there from Kapirimposhi. In fact, Kapirimposhi is my hometown. My mom is from there. I'm from there. So I'm excited to actually
can see
that I have someone from Kapirimposhi, pardon me, calling on this particular show. That it's good to know you're watching, and a very powerful submission has been made. Talking about that submission, we are going to play a particular clip where there are labor disputes that were happening at Mushe Milling. But before we play that, we are going to also see how is it that our local currency this morning is performing against other major convertibles. That is our money market. From our money market, we are going to zoom into some of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. There you have it. That is our foreign exchange this morning, Friday, the 9th of December 2022. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha 14 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 48 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the Great British pound is buying at 20 kwacha 96 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 37 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 04 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 40 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha there against the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha and selling at 1 kwacha 02 ngwe. That is our money market for today, 9th of December 2022. We have seen our local currency begin to depreciate, and of course I did speak actually to the Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Kalyada this week over why we are seeing our local currency performing like that, and he gave me some explanation. Of course, I'm not going to disclose that because I need to put it in the news package for people to understand, but he did mention, Katamanda, aspects that have to do with demand. At this particular time of the season, we are seeing a lot of demand of outside goods because it's Christmas.
It's Christmas time,
of course, so
the festive season. So
family and everyone. So there is a lot of demand for outside products compared to what we have. So we are importing more from other countries compared to what we are exporting. As a result, there is pressure on our local currency because people want to buy out. Money is going out. And of course, we are receiving goods from outside. That is one of the aspects he mentioned. And of course, he did mention to the fact that we are going towards the end of the year. We know what December means. Some companies are already going on a break. As a result, they are closing on their finances. There is a lot of trading and a lot of activities happening. But he did, of course, mention to say, come what 2023, they are expecting a lot to happen, more especially when the debt restructuring procedure is done. We are expecting to see more investment. And at this particular point, he did also mention that some investors are still holding on to their resources to try to see how this negotiating process will actually end. And then afterwards, that's when we are going to see some money being pumped into, because now investors will be certain with what they want to do. So that is an update that came from the Minister of from the Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Kalyada regarding why our local currency has begun to depreciate. Remember, kwacha was one of the best performing currencies in 2022 compared to other African countries. We did quite well, and of course we hope to see that continue even as we go to 2023. But of course we are discussing why has the country Zambia continued to have labor dispute in places of work. We did have a caller earlier from Kapirimposhi who gave us quite a good submission with regards to this. But even about now, we are going to zoom into a story that has been making headline in our news almost for the past 3 days. And this is with regards to Mushe Milling employees. Mushe Milling was, of course, a company that was started in about 2010. It was a milling company. I think a lot of people remember the adverts, Musha Milling, eat good, feel good, and stuff like that. And then at a particular point, it was acquired by ZCCM IH, that is ZCCM Investment Holdings, a government parastatal institution acquired Musha Milling, but the story has not been quite good. And according to what we've been told by the workers, the company has now been liquidated, and about 80 workers have lost their employment. They are on the street and they are owed salaries of about 5 months. They have been protesting at ZCCMIH offices, and they vowed to continue sleeping there until their issue is addressed. Right about yesterday, they were told to go back home, and that management and the management at Musha Milling have gone in a meeting. So between yesterday and today, they are deliberating on their issue, and they've been told to come back on Monday to just hear the way forward. So they decided to leave after that assurance. But we're going to zoom into that story that has been making headline for the past 3 days in our news. After having spent 2 nights sleeping at the gates of ZCCM Investment Holdings, these former Musha Milling employees have finally decided to call off the protest after management at ZCCM IH assured them that it had gone into a meeting to deliberate on their issue and have been told to come back on Monday, 12 December 2022 on the way forward. The former milling company employees have since Monday, 5th December 2022, been camping at the ZCCMIH offices demanding that they be paid their 5-month salary arrears they are owed by ZCCMIH, which is the majority shareholder in the company, which they say is now under liquidation.
Abantu batuuza ati lero baina meeting banayamba mairo na lero na mairo pachani pa flight baina meeting yakwe bati yatu amene bankaira pankani yatu ama benefit yatu na masaizi pamoja, so bakamba ati pa Monday tukabwere futi kuno, then bakatuuze mwene bankaira meeting yao, so esi yopo pa Monday pazankara ko vintu vya bwino, so nje apa so mani twanyamuka twaenda tufu ise chame tufuna maningi ni drama zatu company jatwaisebenzera maningi ita company namba mu 2010, so wena nguba nzatu pamene pano baina ma 12 years pacha, then pale nienda permanent. They
now hope that the assurance given will yield positive results, failure to which they will march to State House to seek the audience of the head of state.
Kambira ti pamande tukabwere. Then pamande tukabwera ngati kuli bechani positive information amene wanga tupase kuti ndama zali muzatenga day aso. Action amene zakatekinga zakaenda pa State House kuti ba president na beve waite bandi bakaonepo. Because kuleba konzi tunapitapo kudala mapepers wonse alipo kuleba kujanda Musha Milling kani ija kuleba kujiakanga na inyo niyonse ya tabandi ya vuta nkani, so manja pa president bangenepo ise tuzabwirapo pachani pa Monday useti ya tuzafika sitame tufuna drama za tunasebeza kudala tuvutika umanyuma.
Having worked for Musha Milling for many years, these former employees will now have to look elsewhere for employment, which they say is not an easy thing in the current times. Their last hope is to have their 5-month salary arrears and other benefit paid so that they can clear the debts they owe other people and find other means of survival. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it. Those are workers from Musha Milling, the former employees yesterday who decided to cut off their protest. They've been camping at the ZCCMIH offices since Monday because they are demanding their 5 months unpaid arrears. So the question that we are asking you this morning, our viewer, is why have we continued as a country to record labor disputes at places of work? You can call us and tell us your experience, especially for those who work in the private sector. But in this particular incident, what is more interesting is that they were working for actually a government institution, because the fact that Musha Milling was acquired by ZCCMIH, which became the majority shareholder, it means it became a government institution. And of course, we have the Ministry of Labor, where we go to, which is government institution, to report these happenings. But it's unfortunately workers from a government institution are going to report to another government institution. And this is one thing that these workers yesterday said, to say, you know what, we've gone to the Ministry of Labor on several times, and this issue has not received the much attention as it should have.
Because they are working together, so they have to sit down and plan well, because at the end of the day, they don't want to attack each other. They have to back each other up, isn't it?
Of course, but these families, remember, they have 5 months unpaid arrears, meaning they've not been paying their rent. What are you going to tell your landlord? And to make matters worse, you are a man. Of course, they expect you to be a provider in your home. But maybe before we continue, let's pick up and hear what this caller has to say. Hello.
Hello?
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Fine, thank you. You're through to Camnet TV. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and you can go ahead with your question or your submission or contribution. Reverend, it's good to know Chililabombo is tuned in this morning. How is it that side? Is it raining?
It's raining.
We thank God for that. Please go ahead with your submission.
Yes. When we read the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, and it says, and to them master, he was said, Timothy, to them, this up, Christians, know that your own master also is in heaven, and there is no partiality with you. Now, I want to start with the master, the manager, the bosses. They should not reflect the people are great in this, but
Reverend, your line is quite bad. It's cutting. I don't know if you can move, change positions. We want to hear what you're saying. So maybe just try to move a little bit and change position.
Am I clear now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I was saying that the Bible God gave an example of master to our Lord Jesus Christ. So point number one, where we are not is because the owners of companies are not born again. They are not children of the Catholic. So they are blessed, not their workers. Number two, they are not proud of their workers. Because if they are proud of their workers, they must at least make them look like yourself. We have no accommodation. We are paying for senior service to marry, and we have no way to whatsoever. You know, sometimes it's not really good to be this family. Let the people who like again and that's what that's let them prevent something for themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Reverend, for that contribution. Of course, our topic of discussion is why has Zambia continued having labor dispute? Reverend there from Chingola, did he say Chingola?
He said
Chililabombo. He's saying sometimes when we read what is written in the Bible, it's somehow contrary to what happens in companies. He's given an example to say some employees do that because they don't love their workers. I think I heard that second point where he said they don't love their workers. They don't care where they stay. That's why they don't even bother giving them accommodation or even give them accommodation allowance. They don't care whether they've given them money or not. They don't worry even about how is this person surviving or looking after their families. I think that's a very important aspect there that is given. Of course, it was accompanied by a scripture, but when you are a boss, another thing he said, you would want to make your workers look like you, but this is not what is happening in our country. Most of the time, you will realize that employees, when you look at an employee and you look at the people who are working for them, it's a sad scene.
Yeah.
Because you would actually wonder, this also applies to the mining sector. You realize that if you look at the people who do the actual mining, and then you
the way they are
bosses,
looking, and then you look at the bosses,
look
it's
at where
quite
they
different.
stay. But these are the ones with the shovels, with the digging those minerals. But if you look at them, and sometimes you realize that despite the hard labor that they do, they go for months without being paid.
But how do we even get to like months without paying people? Because I think 5 months is a lot of time not to pay someone. The longest you can go is just maybe like 30 days. You shouldn't exceed to that, because once you just miss a month, the moment you get to the next month, then, you know, if for you to cover up for the last month would have been a challenge. So it's best that we should avoid this by all means. But then again, looking at the employers, the bosses, They have a lot of things also that they pay for, so we shouldn't also overlook. Anyway, we have a caller. Let's take that call. Hold my thoughts.
Yeah, for now. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi. We can hear you. Tule miumfa. Marishadi mukwai. We no mole tumfa mkwai. You are through to Camnet TV. Tuwe radio komuli no comment to me na, and then you can go ahead na contribution. Mukwai, line yenu iliko bad.
If you can call us back, please call us.
He wants to hear you, and I'm excited that you are actually, I don't know if you're a woman or girl or baby, I don't know, but what I just know is that it is a woman who called us. So I'm so excited to see that you can call us. Unfortunately, we were unable to hear what you were saying, so call us back and we will give you a chance to express yourself. Back to your thoughts.
Okay, the thing is, you know, I was saying on the part of the bosses as well, because they also have other things that they have to pay for. They have NAPSA that they have to help the workers pay. Then they have these tasks that they have to pay for. So we shouldn't also overlook that. But one thing that I can advise people that employ other people, let's learn to have or develop a culture of understanding that we are complementing each other here. No one is doing each other a favor. We are complementing each other. I'm offering you services, then you are giving me your monies. So we should complement each other. It shouldn't just be about
a balance.
Yes, we should strike a balance. It shouldn't just be about, no, she's working for me or he's working for me. Even if I don't pay, then it's fine. We can get to. And now look at, these are the issues that we're having now, where people are getting to 5 months. Honestly, how can you not pay someone for 5 months? You know this person has got a family. We all know things have become expensive. We know education is expensive. It might be free, but there are other essentials that are needed.
There are other things you have to buy for your kids.
Exactly.
You need to buy them books, you need to buy them uniforms, you need to buy them shoes. And then sometimes you would buy, because the child is walking a distance to go to school. I mean, if you buy them a pair of shoes, it's just a matter of time.
It's just like within less than a month, they will need another
pair of shoes, of course.
For those that can afford to give their children transport, it is done every day. There are others that are driving that are comfortable enough. They also have to use gas. So we also have to consider all those things as well. So let's learn to strike a balance of saying, okay, this person is offering me their services, let me treat them all. I think let's hear from a caller. We have a caller.
Hello.
Hi. Barishani mkwai apatwa myumfa nomba. Twewe nako mole tumane contribution yenu mkwai. Mkwai. Ba gift chawa makwena you've tuned in to Camnet TV. Go ahead na contribution yenu mkwai ba gift. Hello?
Her line is really bad.
Ba gift mkwai lande number 2 fwe. Mkwai ba gift chawa machilira bombo ile tamba mkwai lande 2 fwe.
Okay, her line is breaking. If she can cut and then call us back. Please, if you can call us back.
I don't know why your line is really bad. Maybe perhaps try using another phone or another network. But the gift mkwa inde foku mfofile chitika kuchilila bomboko. So kuti much to me na maybe line yenu, maybe mule bomfanga mle mwamfe MTN, maybe bomfe nko Airtel number if you're using an Airtel number. Kuti mwabomfe kona MTN, but we are interested zikumfwa if you're mulelanda. So tatuana kemkwa inga matu ma will still pick your call pakwe watutumfwe contribution yenu nangula lipusho nangula mune focus to find out something. So Camnet TV gives you a platform where you can call, make your contribution or your submission with regards to what is happening around. And of course, the topic of discussion this morning, we are discussing why is it that Zambia has continued to record labor disputes at their places of work. We did play a clip where Musha Milling employees, former employees, were protesting at the ZCCMIH offices. They had been camping there since Monday, and yesterday they had to cut off the protest and go back home because they were told that their entire issue is being tackled between yesterday and today, and they've been told to go back on Monday, 12th of December 2022. Of course, December is coming to a close, Katamanda. We are excited. A lot of important things have happened this year under the United Party for National Development Administration. At the end of the year, of course, we will be bringing you the end of year news, where we will be summarizing some of the stories that made headline. And of course, we will conclude the year on a good note. Remember to take responsibility. We want to see you cross over to 2023, because 2023 has a lot to offer in store. Yesterday, we did also see Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana say the National Pension Scheme bill that President Hakainde Hichilema assented will enable the country save over 2 billion kwacha in pension payout. Speaking when he appeared on a radio program in Lusaka Thursday, Mr. Kawana says the signing of the bill will now enable the National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, to pay pensioners under National Provident Fund 5 billion kwacha instead of the estimated 7 billion by the year 2030. The director spokesperson further says pensioners under National Provident Fund have been earmarked for closure will now have an option to either withdraw their pension fund or migrate to NAPSA, which they have already. So it says the bill also allows pensioners under NAPSA to withdraw their pension. It says the bill also allows pensioners under NAPSA to withdraw their pension. He also said that bill, which allows pensioners under NAPSA to withdraw their pension, is still at a draft stage and will have to go through the processes in Parliament before it can be approved. So when that statement came out, there was a lot of confusion. Because people thought everyone, including those on a NAPSA, can now go and make their EDI claims. But now people are clarifying that this is only applying to the pensioners that have been under the National Provident Fund. There is this National Provident Fund that is now earmarked for closure. Like they want to close completely this fund, but they can't close it because there are still people who are paying pension to them. Yeah. So those ones now have been given an opportunity to go and withdraw their pension. And if they want, they can migrate it now to NAPSA. And then some of them have been servicing 2 accounts. They have with NAPSA, they have with the Provident Fund. So they are now being told, then either whatever you use it, or whatever NAPSA, when you retire, you can go and get the money back. But we did see a lot of excitement when this issue came back, because people are excited. And
lack of knowledge, my sister, lack of knowledge.
It was just, I think, misinformation on part of how the statement came out. So now the Ministry of Finance Director Tabo Kawana, spokesperson yesterday, did mention to say no. So what will happen is that because of that fund, which was closed in 2000, so what has been happening is, remember, you can get your retirement after 55. So after that pension fund was closed, we will realize that there are people who are still owning money, moja.
Yeah. And
they've been told until you reach that particular stage. So the youngest on that pension fund was 16 years when it started. But as up to now, that person is 36 years. So that's why either bill by big if you are 36 years, including Udo at 16 by that time, they can now go and claim that fund. And now what will happen is that they were supposed to get this money by the year, is it 2030 afterwards? So government was supposed to pay them about 7 billion.
Yeah. But
what will happen is that because they've been told to go and get that money now, government will only spend 5 billion, which means they'll save 2 billion in pension. So that's what the director spokesperson said yesterday. I know this issue has brought about a lot of confusion, and we did see NAPSA make a statement to clarify. We did see Ministry of Labor, and yesterday the director spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media did also go on radio to just clarify. So we are going to zoom into that other story that made headline, just to hear what the director spokesperson said yesterday. Let's get to see this.
And now they are dealing with NAPSA money. So all those that were under NPF can now be paid, even those that are not yet 55 years old. And since the youngest was 16, who is 36 now, so starting from 36 years old going up, people now are able to be paid their NPF contributions. Now, these NPF contributions that they are going to collect at a tune of 5 billion kwacha, the people that are able to collect that money have an option to either collect that money and start afresh with NAPSA, because they're already on NAPSA now as we're talking, or migrate that money into NAPSA and continue. But we have given them an option now that they can opt out, because the accounts for NPF are now being completely closed. And if we wait until the envisioned, is it 2026, for the youngest to reach 55, government or NAPSA would have spent 7 billion kwacha. Now that we have signed this law, meaning that 5 billion will be spent as of now, and the 2 billion kwacha will be served.
There you have it. That was Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawo Kawana there, who was also making a clarification on a bill that the president assented, and of course with regards to pensioners and Provident Fund. I know a lot of people are excited, and I remember some of my colleagues saying, Mama, once I'm just 36, and a lot of other institutions were condemning government by saying, but how could you do that when that bill was just still at the draft stage? The bill for this to happen is just at the draft stage. But of course, we've seen a clarity there and a clarification to say this particular bill that the president assented to only applies to people who were under this National Provident Fund, which was closed in 2000. And now what government has been doing, it has been servicing, giving money to these pensioners who were paying their resources to Provident Fund. And this fund now has been closed, and government wants to completely do away with it. Because what was happening is that now NAPSA, but Provident Funds, NAPSA. But anyway, let's get to hear what this particular caller has to say this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. How to abuka febwino mkwaiva dishani?
How to the febwino?
Poto tera mkwai, niba nani abale tutumina, abale tutumina kuisa mkwai. Bashariti kukitwa, it's good to know Kitwa is tuned in this morning. Ile lokoko mkwai. How to atotera. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Omuntu otarafa era abeera batarafa pension n'akapensango yakukoka kwakabuziya bakala tebakoba mumasho okuko kiratera kyaleeba kale gamba akaterekwa okufulumba n'otokokati yeekabulabe n'ababombera kale era gamba batokeko so wanjiri batukolekesheeko tebyanze tulebulira kyolubiri olupiya twalikyula fenazamabondi yayigiisula kama psdp tusongera mayanja gamba baterekale malati nga bakitaka atlista bakutula kitaka nangutuma kuletumwe bantu tulekyula n'mukyalo kyekyo ekyo kintu kyabawombera tena mutenkwensikutensi pindi wayindi kutiwalako nange nimulesikosena ngebikulumisa wayeekala mwabana bakyala gafakwekala noti ekyo mwebantu asiire okanabawombera akale bambi bagikitanamalisa era ekyoga batubolekesheeko tebakwaete ekirayiteyose namutemitenipini kuti wayeekitakoka puloti kashingooko emukwalinekyo nafo okulanda kwako mubantu bagwaleka
awe twatotera mkwai bamayo ba Charity. Charity, they are calling us from the Copperbelt, Kitwa. It's good to know Kitwa is tuned in this morning. And she says, of course, a lot of confusion. If what she says is actually the truth. You know, if you've said for a particular time, from now, Katamanda where we are, and 10 years or 20 years from now, the price of plots will be different.
Will be different.
So apanga wakwataka pension waya senda washita koka plot. You wait maybe padanga wasa retire ukesa kula poparika plot. Because you realize that for some by the time when some send the pension your way, it is fair enough to pay to buy a plot. I am a plot to Mona Mulusaka, a plot 200,000, 250,000. That's one someone's retirement package. But in the Warikash some good 10 years ago, the price wasn't like that. You see, so parade some send the you can just easily go and build on that particular plot which you bought. So it's a good idea. But by my other Charity, maybe just to clarify, but President, yes, did say that bakachita assent kuri bill. So for yaba president ngabalande chintu bachita propose chirabati it's a draft. Aini balanda ba president bachi pick up a draft. But before this can be passed into a bill, kula bat first bachitwala ku parliament, ama parliamentarians bayachita debate. Chapter first reading, second na third reading. Na labwela first let's pick up this phone call.
Hello.
Hello sir, good morning. Toka bwino bwanjuko. But John Mukwai Kwisoko. It's good to know Ngombe is tuned in this morning. I almost said your voice sounds familiar like someone I know. But anyway, John, please go ahead with your contribution or your submission.
I think
but John, Mr. John. All right, Mr. John, are you done with your contribution? Oh, of course, my controller is on fast forward. But Mr. John from, of course, Ngombe in Lusaka, thank you so much for that submission. He says the Labour Ministry is not doing enough. We've seen instances where some Labour officers have been bribed. And that is, I'm not anyway going
that's
to
an allegation.
Yeah, that's an allegation, but I know we've seen such incidences being reported before where a Labour official goes to a particular place to do inspection, and after seeing that things are wrong, they ask for their account number. Before they know it, they've wired something there.
And before you know it, the issue is dead. You have nowhere to
go.
But
those, of course, are allegations. But I think we've even heard of such reports. I think last time I did come across such kind of information. But of course, we know the Ministry of Labour is here to sort labour issues, and I hope the ministry is listening to this particular program. Let's get to hear what another caller has to say. Hello, good morning.
Hello, I'm calling.
Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, I am calling from Mamba.
Yeah, it's good to know Mamba is tuned in this morning. Please, sir, go ahead with your contribution and tell us your name also.
Yes, I've been very attentive about what you have said concerning NPF. But my question, I just want to be brief whether the NAPSA policies still remain the same. Because me, I'm just remaining NAPSA. So I want you to clarify on NAPSA. Is there any changes that now concerning NAPSA? Yes, that's what I want to find out.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for that contribution or question. Just like I was explaining earlier, Kuriva Charity, yes, of course. But the charity asked a question to say, if for NAPSA. So for NAPSA, for now, nothing has changed. But the president did make a pronouncement to say, going forward, we want to see a situation where when someone reaches a particular age, they can have part of their pension paid. But what usually happens is when a president says something like that, it becomes a pronouncement. So when he pronounces something, it has to be put on a draft, like it's drafted, they draft it. So it becomes a draft. Sometimes that Philippa draft. Then when it Philippa draft, it draft by parliament. Remember by MP to vote a decision yabo balanda tnishi kupangama policies. They make the policies of what happens. So it drafty bala itwala ku parliament. And then by parliamentarian, ba fuide bachta, ba for first reading, second reading, and the third reading. But in the day, first reading, sometimes bachta introduce, and then people have to debate. So kwa opposition, bala sta support or bala kana, naba ku other side nabo naba independent once balanda po. But anyway, before she push, let's also pick up this phone call. Hello, good morning.
Hey,
mkwai babu kashani mkwai. Twatasha mkwai. Iba nani aba mkwai? Pardon? Bapita, kwena kasama, kwena konsioko. It's good to know Kasama is tuned in to Camnet TV this morning. Bapita Mkwai, please go ahead with your contribution. Peter, all the way from Kasama. It's good to know Kasama is tuned in this morning. And of course, he's making a submission with regards to the Mushe milling incidents. He's given two scenarios to say most of the time when this happens, it's at an eco side, Katamanda. He says sometimes ama workers ngabalebo babafuide baposa kwa mano to ensure that one protect company sometimes from our workers we take advantage ngaturebo mba mu institution where nakuya kunchitobale ku staff drug but nishwala bati
that's what's putting
ile be careful yakudapate and then he says sometimes my conditions tapadu wingatemo at company yawa and then ama workers bale chula sometimes ama conditions abantu babika ko certain conditions kuma salaries yanlenga maybe just certain conditions. Yalenga company have company yawa ya isala. But he says workers, he's spoken to us, the employees. Make sure but when you're working, please pay particular attention to the work that you do. No one would like to see a company collapse. That's a good submission coming from Mr.
Exactly
Peter.
what I said. Like there should just be a balance, you know.
Yes.
There should be a balance because at the end of the day, we both want this institution to grow. We both want to see this institution get to somewhere. I don't think there's anyone who comes or who goes for work with a mentality of saying, "I'm just doing it. I don't want to grow as a person." You want the company to grow. As much as the company is growing, you also want to grow. I think we have another caller. Let's take that call. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, good morning. Tell us the name.
I'm calling from Mazabuka, Thomas.
Oh, Mr. Thomas, good to know Mazabuka is tuned in this morning. Please go ahead with your question, contribution, or submission.
Yeah, mine is on NASA. Yeah, as during campaign, that when calculated, he was campaigning wrestling about talking about the instead of working for 55 years, the package, he required for that so that it must get him early 55 years. And on the same, because looking at the current jobs for doing currently, most of them are informal workers. They only maybe contribute in a year instead of 12 months. They only maybe contribute for 6 or 4. The reason is they are working in contract. If it was looked at the state of because in terms of like SPF, it was closed in the 2000. Now currently we have in NAFTA. So the majority of the work on NAFTA, this is most of what we can appreciate from that. This is for NPF.
Mr. Thomas, thank you so much for that contribution. Mr. Thomas from Mazabuka there saying The president campaigned on the aspect that we have to withdraw our pension earlier before you retire. This is what I was trying to explain, because Charity from Kitwe there also made a contribution. So when the president makes a pronouncement, draft, when it is drafted, it goes to parliament. Parliamentarians will have to debate whether the benefits that are in that, the negative, the positives. So debate my parliamentarians. At the end, after first, second, third reading, now what they call final decision, where they now have to vote. Are you voting that this should be passed or not? If that particular draft now gets the majority of votes, then it will be passed into a bill. But when it is passed into a bill, it doesn't mean it becomes law there and then. No. The president will now have to come back and assent by signing that as minister, now this should be added to the laws. So yes, by Charity, Mr. Thomas here from Mazabuka, the president did make a pronouncement, and after making that pronouncement, they went and drafted what they call a draft of that bill. So where it is now, it is still on a draft, and very soon it will be going to Parliament, so that parliamentarians can debate whether NAPSA, now the one you're talking about, should also now start paying off. So that's why you have to convince your member of parliament. Member of parliament in the area, but if we to at send the pension yesu by the age of 35. So parliament, you need to support that bill, because most of the time you find that people from the opposition, because it's just coming from the government, they'll vote no. So if your MP votes no against that, there's nothing that government can do. If at all the no gets the majority vote. So that's why you talk to your parliamentarians to say, Madam Parliament, represent, we voted for you, you've employed them. So they have to hear to what you have to say. If you don't agree with that, you tell your parliamentarian to say, abantu nga balasenda the pension on time, abantu nga retire, don't vote for this. And your parliamentarian will go and say, if abantu bakana. So this is what happened. The president made a pronouncement, they made a draft, it has to go to parliament, it has to go through three readings, and then afterwards parliamentarians will have to whether debate to pass it into law or not. And then afterwards, the president will now have to come back and assent to that. So as it stands, nothing has changed on NAPSA. But someone called and said, so does it mean NAPSA now, there are different conditions? No, the conditions for NAPSA now remains the same. So what has happened now is only that government, this Provident Fund, NPF, was closed in 2000. And now they want to do away with it. So that, okay, but under this, kuti mwaya sende mpia ngode fire washkwala ku NAPSA, or if you want to use it, you can either take it to NAPSA and wait when you retire, you can go and get it, or you need to get it, because what has been happening is NAPSA has been servicing two accounts. They are servicing WAPA, NPF, and they are also servicing Baku NAPSA. So it's quite draining to maintain two accounts. So they've totally closed this and they want to do away with it. So but therefore could so other than that, you can go and get your early retirement. You can shift it to NAPSA and continue, or
I think people won't go for that one.
No, they'll definitely
want to withdraw their money and use it.
No, what you can do is you can get what if you want to migrate it to NAPSA, you can get part of that.
Just
money.
part of it, and then the other one.
And then the other one you migrate it to NAPSA, and then the account will continue. But what government wants to do is they want to extend that privilege to NAPSA pensioners. So that's why the president has drafted. There's a draft which will now have to go to parliament. So it's up to you, the members of the general public, to now convince your parliamentarians to say, when you go to parliament, go and support that bill. So that in Nkasendeka pension cans, Nkasendeko half,
then the other, I take it to NAPSA.
Yes. So this is where now the parliamentarians come in. So when you're voting for these parliamentarians, you need to have at least someone who speaks to the language that you, of course, the people in the area are speaking to. And you know, these MPs, we vote them out, we vote them into office so that they can represent us well. So I have time sometimes to speak to your MPs. Not think about Manaba MP people, they are chanting.
They just want to get excited.
You employed them to do this for you. So if you agree with this, tell your MPs, when this draft is brought to Parliament by MP, please vote for it. And if it gets the majority votes, then the president will assent to it. If it doesn't get the majority votes from the MP, this will not be effected. The NAPSA bill now that allows you to withdraw your pension at a particular time will not happen. Let's get to hear what the scholar has to say, even as we move. Hello?
Hello.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Fine, thank you. You're through to Camnet TV. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and you can go ahead with your contribution or submission.
Yes, my name is Daniel. I'm calling from Kitwe.
Mr. Daniel Mohauda, it's good to know Kitwe is watching this morning. Please go ahead with your submissions.
Thank you. All what I wanted to know is for us, where it raised in 1995. Today, we haven't received our pensions and we are now talking to the five as the day. Are we eligible to collect our NAFTA? I mean, the APF or under NPF? And what are the requirements that they need when we go to their office? And the other thing is, when we need to retreat, a lot of us are going to there need to ask for at least something that we can know. And we given just a minimum more money that we stand now that we qualify as aid to go and receive our money.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels there from Kitwe.
I think it's the same confusion. I think you have explained.
Unfortunately, I might not really know. The question is asked to say what of us, because I'm sure NAPSA. Yesterday, of course, on the program, we did host NAPSA Public Relations Officer on yesterday's evening program, that is Economic Briefcase. So in case you missed the program, it was actually being streamed live on our Facebook page. You can maybe just go back and listen to that interview. Maybe you might get answers to some of the questions that you have. Because NAPSA came yesterday and they did quite a good explanation, and a lot of people called and asked. So maybe if it's not too much to ask Mr. Daniels there, maybe you can just go to our Facebook page and just listen to the interview that Dr. Harazoka had with NAPSA Public Relations Officer, because he explained a lot of things. For me, I might not really be sure, because he says they were retrenched in 2005 and they were under national NPF, National Provident Fund. So maybe, but what I know is at this point is that if your pension was under this, you can go and claim it. That's what we know for now. If you were under NPF, because they want to do away with this account completely, so they want to pay everyone who was on that. So you can go there. What are the conditions? The PRI yesterday did explain what you need to go with for you to get these resources. I think even NAPSA director on Wednesday, he equally explained in that briefing they had. I know there was the issue of you go with your NRC, you go with your SHAN. I might not be privy to all the information, but he also explained the requirements for you to go and claim these funds.
And I think they also have a free toll line where you can just call and then ask all these questions. And if you have access, or if you have an opportunity to get to their office, I think it would be best. You go there so that you have all the understanding. We are also here to we might not know everything. We know part of the truth and some of the things. Yes, so but we'll try our level best to find out for you, but just keep a look to Camnet TV. We give you the best of information. So go through our programmings. All the programs that you get to see on here, they are on our Facebook page. Just go back on our Facebook page and then have that understanding. That
and of course, you've mentioned a very important aspect. There is also a toll-free line that you can call, and they'll be able to explain some of these things. So what we are giving you is the information that you have,
know
up to
that we have.
that level. Yeah, of course, I know a lot of people have asked, what about NAPSA? So I'm sure, I hope I have explained better with those who are on the NAPSA program, because this particular bill that the president has sent it to does not apply, does not apply to those who are on NAPSA. As for now, only those who are on NPF, they are the only ones who qualify to go and get. Remember, that account was closed in 2000, and government has been servicing, like they've been paying those pensioners. But now they just want to have one account, which is now with NAPSA. So that's why they are saying, when you get your money and you're still working, if you want, you can take it to, you can migrate to NAPSA. Others have already migrated. If I remember very well, others, you would agree with me that you've already migrated. You are now on NAPSA, but again, you had some money that was in NPF. So that's why they are saying, go and get that money if you want to use it, or if you want, bring it to NAPSA to continue with the account that you have with NAPSA. But for now, that's the information we have. Is NAPSA added to this bill? No. For now, the pronouncement that was made by the president with regards to NAPSA people now getting their money is on a draft. So when the president says something, it becomes, they write it on a draft, then it has to go to Parliament to go through first, second, third reading. Parliamentarians will have to debate, should this be allowed or should it not? So if your MP, by many means, no, me, I don't want this, and they are the majority voice, that will not happen. The president cannot assent to a bill which has not been approved by Parliament. But if the majority of parliamentarians will vote in favor of that draft bill which will be taken to Parliament, then of course it will now become law, and when the president now signs, assents to it, like they've done with the NPF bill. So that's the information that we have. So this has been the breakfast show in the morning. Today's topic of discussion was, why has Zambia continued having labor dispute? We did play a clip earlier where some multi-million employees have been camping at ZCCMI offices from Monday, demanding that they prepared their 5-month salary arrears now that the company is under liquidation. You remember Musha Milling, feel good, eat well. I think you remember that advert. Unfortunately, for now, we no longer have Musha Milling in our stores. And of course, the workers were protesting that they prepared their 5-month salary arrears. And we are asking, the question is, why do we continue having labor dispute in the country? A lot of people called, made their submissions, made their contributions. We appreciate everything that you have done for us this morning, accompanying us on this program. It has been quite a good interaction. A lot of people have called on different stories to make submissions on why we have labor dispute, on the NAPSA issue, which we are still explaining, and we'll keep explaining until people get to understand. But of course, even me, I would like to get my pension early. I don't want to die and not get that money. And most of the time, Katamanda, you realize that even you having to get your NAPSA you know, when you retire,
it's not, it's a process. It's a process.
And a lot of people have died of frustrations. Others have even left their money unclaimed. So if I'm still alive and I'm given an opportunity to get part of that money, why not? I'm sure everyone would love that. And that's where we are moving to. So this is where we have to
say our goodbye
to the close of the program. Of course, we would love to have had all the calls picked this morning. I know we had a gift from the Copper Belt who we could not take the call. I wish we could have heard what you had to say or contribute, but it is not the dying end. You can still send us those messages and we will be able to read. I don't know if we've had online messages. Let me maybe just confirm so that we don't hear people say, but tumaka message damach kavelenga. But this is where we have to come to the end of the program. For now, we are not going to pick any other call, just to see if we've had any message that has come through. Mulea Michael there from Kawa, it's good to know you're watching. Mr. Dixon Porter there following, thank you so much. Dorothy Pirai, it's good to know you're watching. When is the second campaign? Dorothy is asking, when is the second campaign? Quite confused, I don't know.
Which campaign?
Oh, of polio, she did.
On the, what's this? The Morning Boost, the doctor was talking about the polio, so I guess that's what she's asking.
Oh yeah, you are right. When is the second one? I'm not really sure of that information. I might mislead you, but I'll try to get an answer. And when I do, I will go back to our online platform and I will send you that message to just ensure that you have the right information. Thank you so much for trusting Camnet TV. She says she was watching from Libala. This is where we have to say our goodbye. So sad to say goodbye. Amanda.
Don't worry, we'll be back. We'll be back on Friday next week. But the breakfast show comes every week, starting from Monday till Saturday. So you can join Precious in the College tomorrow on Saturday for the stories that took place the whole week. So yeah, that's where we have to say our goodbyes. It's been awesome being on set with you.
Of course, Katamanda.
The business reporter, the guru herself. It is always an honor just being on set with you. So thank you so very much for trusting me to just sit down here with you. And of course, not forgetting the viewers, those that called us, those that left their comments on our Facebook page. We are grateful to each one of you. I don't think we would be where we are if not for you, our lovely viewers.
Okay, this is why we have to say goodbye. I know we said this is why we have to say goodbye for a lot of time. But yeah, this is why we have to close the program. Keep watching Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Stay tuned.